tell us what happened in the session this week and what this organisation that seemed to be re-educating you, it's called Working It Out Tasmania, or Working It Out, Tasmania's Gender, Sexuality and Intersex Support, Education and Advocacy Service. What on earth is that?
Oh, to be honest, so the re-education came back because as you've mentioned, I'm a councillor on the Hobart City Council, and this was part of what I would describe as a retaliation move from some of my fellow councillors to make me go through this re-education. Because as you can imagine, there's a lot of pressure to comply with the groupthink of being on a council, and I'm speaking out. So the organisation, I don't know a lot about them other than they are the people leading the charge, I guess, in Tasmania and the go-to point when it comes to sexuality but also gender identity. So we had a session that I had to come along to where I was given a trans man spoke about their experience, and I was given a handout around FAQs on gender identity. And just looking at that fact sheet is basically anything but fact, to be honest. And the experience, I had to restrain myself. I was like, the information was blurted at me, but there was no opportunity for questions.
Well, let's just talk about some of that information.
It wasn't a fun experience.
No, let's just talk about some of that information that you tweeted out. The Working It Out fact sheet says that gender is not fixed and not determined by genitals or other sex characteristics. And I believe that was under a heading talking about children. I mean, this is crazy stuff.
Yes, it is. And it is crazy. And it also, again, points to the hypocrisy of this belief, because from my perspective, if people are saying that gender is fluid and it may change and it's not defined by genitalia and other characteristics, then why do we have kids and adults and young adults? Why do we have people making permanent changes to their body, specifically their sex characteristics and genitalia, when this is a fluid thing? If people can flex in and out of a certain gender, why are we making such permanent changes, and especially to children, and setting them on surgical and medical pathways which are irreversible? It's
nonsensical. Also, that Working It Out fact sheet said that trans women are not taking over or dominating women's sport. I mean, what planet are these people on? The only rationale I could come up with a sentence like that is that might have been written 10 years ago. But if you look around today, there are situations and stories coming out across the globe where mediocre men are coming into women's sport and taking the medals. And what gets me is that every place in women's sport is taken by a man is a place that a woman has missed out on. And in sport, it is where it's so blatantly unfair and unsafe for men to be in the women's category. The women's category exists for a reason, because men and women are inherently different. So to argue that men aren't taking over sport, that's exactly actually the trend we are starting to see. And I think that's really sad, because we want to encourage girls into sport. And if they see literally a person of the other sex, especially when they've been through a male puberty, coming in and sweeping the podium, then there's really no motivation for them to try. Yeah, that's right. We want every young girl in Australia to be able to aspire to play for the Matildas if they want to, and not to have to compete against biological males to get to their dream. This is obviously, this re-education is a real worry, because this has been given to you as fact. It's not. You mentioned just earlier that a trans man came to speak with you as part of your re-education. Now, let's just be really clear for our viewers. A trans man is a woman who has transitioned and identifies as a man. Now, you said in your Twitter feed that she presented, and I'm going to use the proper biological pronouns. She presented as a man. She said she didn't feel safe in men's spaces, even though she has transitioned to a man. Why then do the LGBTIQA+ activists insist that girls and women must feel safe when a trans woman, a biological male, shares their toilets and changing rooms? It's a very good question. So this, the person spoke about their experience, and they spoke about being harassed for being transgender, which of course we all condemn.
Yeah,
no one should be harassed for something like that. They also spoke about after their double mastectomy, they call it top surgery. After the double mastectomy, they didn't feel safe they didn't feel comfortable in the women's. So this person also said that they didn't feel safe using the men's, which is exactly what they've been on a surgical and medical pathway to resemble. And I mean, if you follow along with their belief, trans men are men, therefore they should be in the men's. But this female person didn't feel safe using the men's. And that was actually the only one question I got to ask is, can you tell me more about why you didn't feel safe using the men's? Because from our perspectives, it's pretty obvious why they didn't feel safe using the men's. But then, like you say, conversely, women are meant to have open arms and welcome in any man that identifies as a woman. So it's complete conflict and hypocrisy, because we all know, sadly, not all men, but we all know that as a category, men pose an inherent threat to women, especially in vulnerable spaces like change rooms.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And the trans woman who spoke to you is someone who has undergone a very confronting surgical procedure, but women and girls are being asked to accept biological males who identify as females into their spaces, whether or not they've undergone surgery. I guess they call it bottom surgery, which is physical castration. Now let's call it what it is. But they don't even have to go through that. So this is quite extraordinary, Louise. Now, Louise, what would have happened if you had not attended that re-education session?
It would have been very much frowned on, because it was a retaliation targeting me, because I had dared to bring to the Hobart City Council a motion around our change room facilities and our council-owned properties like our aquatic centre. And I had said that we need to have male spaces, female spaces, and an all sexes, all gender space, so that people can choose which of the spaces they want to use. And as the trans man who spoke at the event said, my re-education said, they didn't feel comfortable in either space, and they actually wanted the third space where everyone, because the thing is, you walk into a women's space and you expect to be with women. If you walk into an all-gender space, you expect there could be anyone in there, and people can choose where they feel most comfortable. My council rejected that motion, even though they heard it from the horse's mouth. So this education was literally to try and reprogram me into these beliefs, to come on board with the belief system.
Well, that's hilarious, Louise, because the trans man who was re-educating you went off the reservation because of that. Of course, the LGBTIQA plus activists, they don't want that third, sensible accommodation that we could all live with to keep girls and women safe and keep, trans men safe as well. It's all very, very confusing, but look, it's the snake that swallows its own tail, unfortunately. Now, Louise, you've got this legal matter with the Equal Opportunities Commission. How much has this cost you so far in terms of dollars, and what sort of emotional toll has it taken on you personally?
Well, when I first received the letter, I was in a bit of shock, because inciting hatred, I must have done something really bad, and I did nothing. I have done nothing wrong. And I very quickly made the decision that I will not be apologising for something I did that I have not done wrong. I have made no mistake. I have made no error here. So, and I realised also the gravity of it, because people are coming at me, I guess, to try, as a somewhat public figure in Hobart, but to try and send the message to silence others. So I know how important it is to stand up to this legal ridiculousness. So I've engaged lawyers, and we've pushed back to say that their complaint is an overreach of the legislation. They have gone way too far in impinging on my implied right, freedom of expression right. So I've literally spent around $6,000 so far to get to this point, and the matter's still sitting with Equal Opportunity of Tasmania. I'm at a fork in the road. I've been told that they're still investigating for a long time, and I need to know. I'm now waiting to see whether they will dismiss the complaint or escalate it to the Tasmanian Tribunal, which has then the the capacity to fine me for inciting hatred. So I don't know which way it's going to go. So regardless, I will, if it's escalated, I won't be backing down, because it's too important to get this mud cleared up, as you very well know.
Yep. Yeah, that's interesting. Look, whilst my matter was in Queensland, yours is in Tasmania, it's exactly the same process. You go to a Human Rights Commission or an Equal Opportunities Commission, and then they escalate it. And in my case, to the Queensland Civil and Administrative Tribunal. You've got a similar tribunal in Tasmania. I wish you well, Louise. My journey took 3 years. I know our friend Kiralee Smith, hers is being escalated to the New South Wales Civil and Administrative Tribunal. You can see the progression. We've got these flawed laws right around the nation which need to be changed, and we need some politicians with courage to do so. Louise, what can people do to support your legal defence?
Well, I would very much welcome people reaching out, because if and when I do get the message that no, I'm going to tribunal, I don't like asking for assistance, but I'm going to need it, because I can't fund, because this will go as high as it needs to, because I need to fight this for everyone, to be able to say the truth and to stand up to such a powerful and dangerous ideology.
Yep.
So if people want to reach out to me, I would welcome the messages, and we can keep in contact.
Yeah, look, I would certainly encourage people to do that. I hope you can get a crowdfunding website up and running quickly. I'm so grateful to, 1,300 people from right across Australia, with lots of small donations added up to a lot, which funded my legal defence, along with some great pro bono work and generosity from my legal firm. And I'm sure you'll have the same. We've got to stick together in this, as you say, Louise. It's a dangerous ideology. We've got to stand up for free speech, the rights of girls and children. Councillor Louise Elliot, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today here on ADH TV.
Thank you.